Have you ever looked at a gentle, kind-hearted person going through unbearable pain, or seen a small child facing suffering far beyond their understanding, and felt a quiet confusion rise within your heart? In that silent moment, a question often appears, not spoken aloud, but deeply felt. Why would this happen to someone so innocent? If God is loving, if the universe is guided by intelligence, why does pain touch those who seem least deserving of it? This question has echoed through human hearts for centuries, not only in moments of tragedy, but in the quiet hours of reflection when life feels unfair and unexplained. Many people turn away from spirituality at this point, believing that suffering proves the absence of divine order. Others accept pain with fear, thinking it must be punishment or fate. But dear seeker, this question does not arise from doubt, it arises from awareness. The very fact that your heart is troubled by innocent suffering means your soul is awakening to deeper truth. Life is inviting you to look beyond appearances, beyond a single moment in time, beyond the limited view of one lifetime. What if pain is not a sign of divine cruelty, but a language the universe uses to guide the soul? What if innocence in this life does not mean the soul is unfinished, but rather deeply experienced? From a yogic perspective, the soul is ancient, wise, and purposeful. It does not wander through suffering blindly. There is intelligence behind every experience, even the ones the human mind cannot immediately understand. Today, let us step gently into this sacred inquiry, not to justify pain, not to ignore compassion, but to bring light where confusion lives. Let us explore why innocent souls experience pain, not with fear or judgment, but with clarity, humility, and a quiet trust in the deeper journey of the soul. Karma is often misunderstood, and because of this misunderstanding, many hearts carry unnecessary fear. People hear the word karma and immediately think of punishment, reward, or divine judgment. But dear seeker, karma is none of these. Karma is simply a law of learning. It is the universe's way of teaching the soul through experience, not a system designed to cause pain. Just as fire burns when touched and water quenches thirst when drunk, karma responds naturally to actions, thoughts, and intentions, without anger and without favoritism. Think of karma as education rather than justice. A student is not punished for solving a difficult problem. The challenge exists so understanding can grow. In the same way, the soul is not punished through suffering. It is placed in situations that help it mature, refine, and awaken. When pain arrives, it is not because the soul has failed, but because it is ready to learn something deeper. The universe does not seek to harm the soul, it seeks to complete it. What often confuses us is time. Karma does not always return immediately, and it does not always return within one lifetime. Causes planted long ago may bear fruit much later, when the soul has the strength and awareness to face them. An innocent person suffering today may not be paying a debt in the human sense, but completing an unfinished lesson in the soul's long journey. This does not mean blame should ever be placed on the sufferer. Karma is impersonal, like gravity. It operates without judgment. When this truth is understood, bitterness slowly dissolves. Pain is no longer seen as proof of injustice, but as part of a larger harmony the human mind cannot fully see. Karma is not here to break the soul. It is here to teach it how to remember its true nature, calm, aware, and eternally free. To understand why innocent souls experience pain, we must gently expand our idea of who we truly are. Most human suffering comes from identifying only with the body and the present life. But from a yogic perspective, dear seeker, the body is only a temporary garment. It is worn for a short time and then set aside. The soul, however, is ancient. It has lived, learned, and journeyed through many lifetimes, carrying wisdom, tendencies, and unfinished lessons far beyond the memory of the mind. When we see a child or a kind person suffering, we instinctively measure innocence by visible actions in this lifetime alone. Yet the soul's story does not begin at birth nor end at death. What appears as innocence to the eyes may actually be a soul-completing experiences gathered over long periods of existence. This does not reduce our compassion, rather, it deepens it. The suffering soul is not weak or punished, it is courageous enough to resolve its journey. From the soul's point of view, pain is not chaos. It is timing. Experiences arrive when the soul has developed enough inner strength to face them. Just as a student is not given advanced lessons before readiness, the universe does not place heavy experiences on unprepared consciousness. The soul chooses growth over ease, awareness over comfort. What the human mind sees as unfair, the soul recognizes as necessary completion. When this truth is remembered, suffering no longer feels meaningless. It becomes part of a much larger journey toward freedom. The soul does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" It asks, "What remains for me to understand?" In this wider vision, pain is not the end of innocence, it is often the final step toward liberation and peace. Pain often enters life not to destroy us, but to soften what has become rigid within. From a spiritual point of view, suffering is one of the most powerful tools for refining the heart and dissolving the ego. When life moves smoothly, the ego quietly grows stronger. We begin to believe we are in control, that comfort is permanent, and that strength comes from external success. But pain interrupts this illusion and turns our awareness inward, where true growth begins. Just as raw gold must pass through fire to become pure, the soul often passes through difficulty to reveal its deeper qualities. Many of the most compassionate, wise, and spiritually sensitive individuals are shaped not by ease, but by hardship. Pain strips away false identities and reveals what truly matters. It teaches humility, patience, and empathy, qualities that cannot be learned from books or comfort alone. Through suffering, the heart becomes capable of understanding the pain of others, and love becomes less conditional and more universal. This does not mean suffering should be glorified or sought after. Pain is not holy in itself. It becomes transformative only when met with awareness. When suffering is resisted, it hardens the ego. When it is observed with calmness and surrender, it loosens the grip of pride and self-centeredness. In this way, pain becomes a silent teacher rather than a lifelong burden. Often, when a person feels most broken, the soul is becoming most receptive. In moments of deep vulnerability, the inner connection with the divine grows stronger, quieter, and more real. Pain reminds us that we are not self-sufficient beings, but souls supported by a greater intelligence. It humbles us, opens the heart, and prepares the inner space where peace and wisdom can finally enter. Not all suffering belongs only to the individual. From a deeper spiritual view, some pain arises from what is known as collective karma, the shared consequences of humanity's long history of thoughts, choices, and actions. Wars, social injustice, disease, and environmental destruction are not created by one person alone. They are the result of collective ignorance, fear, and imbalance repeated over generations. When such conditions arise, even innocent souls may find themselves touched by suffering, not because of personal fault, but because they are living within a shared human story. In this wider vision, certain souls are born into difficult circumstances not as victims, but as participants in humanity's healing process. These souls often carry a quiet strength and sensitivity. They experience pain so that awareness may increase, compassion may awaken, and imbalance may slowly be corrected. Just as one part of the body may bear strain to heal the whole, some souls endure hardship to help lift collective consciousness. Their suffering is not meaningless, it serves a greater purpose beyond personal gain or loss. This understanding should never make us passive or indifferent. Collective karma is not an excuse to accept injustice. Rather, it calls us to act with responsibility, kindness, and service. When we respond to suffering with compassion instead of judgment, we help dissolve the very forces that created it. Every act of kindness weakens collective pain. Every moment of awareness lightens the shared burden. When innocent souls suffer through collective karma, they are not forgotten by the universe. They are deeply seen. Their experiences plant seeds of awakening in others. Through them, humanity is gently reminded that we are not separate beings, but one interconnected life, learning, slowly and imperfectly, how to live in harmony, wisdom, and love. From the soul's perspective, suffering is never permanent, even though it may feel endless to the human mind. Pain exists within time, but the soul exists beyond it. What we experience as loss, hardship, or limitation belongs to the passing world of form. The soul, however, carries forward only awareness, understanding, and growth. Nothing of true value is ever taken from it. When this is remembered, suffering begins to lose its power to define us. Many experiences that appear tragic on the surface become turning points in spiritual evolution. A life shaped by difficulty often awakens inner strength that comfort could never produce. While the body remembers pain, the soul remembers wisdom. What is endured with awareness becomes transformation, not trauma. Even brief moments of suffering can accelerate spiritual growth more than years of ease, because they force the soul to turn inward and seek deeper truth. From this higher view, no experience is wasted. Every challenge completes something within consciousness. The soul gathers insight, balance, and clarity, slowly freeing itself from fear, attachment, and ignorance. What seems like regression in worldly terms may actually be progress in spiritual terms. Growth is not always visible from the outside, but it is always real on the inside. When suffering ends, whether through healing, change, or the transition called death, it does not erase the soul's progress. The soul carries forward the refinement earned through experience. Pain fades, but understanding remains. This is why spiritual teachings remind us not to measure life only by comfort or success. The true measure is inner expansion. Suffering is temporary, but the freedom gained through it becomes part of the soul forever, guiding it closer to peace, clarity, and lasting fulfillment. When suffering touches our life, the most important question is not why it is happening, but how we meet it inwardly. A seeker is not one who avoids pain, but one who learns to respond to it with awareness. Resistance, anger, and self-blame only deepen suffering. They keep the mind trapped in the surface experience. Acceptance, on the other hand, does not mean surrendering to helplessness. It means recognizing the moment clearly, without hatred or fear, and allowing wisdom to arise. A spiritual response to pain begins with gentleness toward oneself. The soul does not grow through harsh judgment. It grows through patience, honesty, and quiet trust. When difficulty appears, a seeker turns inward and asks, not with bitterness but with humility, "What is this moment teaching me?" This question opens the heart rather than closing it. It allows suffering to become insight instead of identity. When witnessing the pain of others, the seeker avoids explanations that dismiss their experience. Spiritual understanding should never replace compassion. Instead of trying to justify suffering, the true response is presence, service, and love. Even small acts of kindness, listening, helping, praying, or simply caring, carry the power to dissolve karma faster than analysis alone. Compassion is action guided by awareness. Through such responses, suffering gradually loses its sharpness. It no longer feels like an enemy, but a passage. The seeker learns that peace does not come from controlling life, but from aligning with its deeper rhythm. In meeting pain with calmness and love, the soul remembers its strength. And in that remembrance, suffering becomes not a stopping point, but a step toward freedom, understanding, and quiet inner peace. As we come to the end of this reflection, dear seeker, take a quiet moment to feel what has been shared, not just with the mind, but with the heart. The suffering of innocent souls is not proof of a broken universe, nor is it a sign of divine neglect. It is part of a vast, intelligent journey in which every soul is guided, shaped, and slowly awakened. What appears as pain in one moment often carries the hidden purpose of growth, balance, and inner liberation. When seen from this deeper perspective, life begins to feel less cruel and more meaningful, even in its hardest moments. Remember this gently: you are not defined by what you suffer, but by what awakens within you because of it. The body may experience pain, circumstances may feel unfair, but the soul remains untouched, learning, expanding, and moving steadily toward freedom. Nothing you have endured is wasted. Every experience has quietly strengthened your awareness, even if you did not notice it at the time. Trust that the universe knows the timing of your growth better than the restless mind ever could. As you return to your daily life, carry this understanding with humility and compassion. When pain arises, yours or another's, meet it with kindness rather than judgment. Let your response be love, patience, and service. These are the forces that soften karma and bring peace where confusion once lived. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. What insight touched your heart the most? Or what question still remains within you? Your reflections may guide and comfort someone else walking a similar path. And please tell me, what spiritual topic would you like us to explore together in the next video? Your voice matters in this shared journey of understanding. Until we meet again on this path of awareness and inner light, walk gently, trust deeply, and remember who you truly are. Jai Gurudev.